Good morning, everyone. Welcome to No Capes, the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. Today I have the incredible Kelly Fitzpatrick with me. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about your work.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kelly. I've been coloring in the industry for like 8 years now. My dog is making himself known. Yeah, I've worked everywhere from like um, self-published stuff to DC Comics, Archie Comics, kind of all over the place. Is that good?
Yeah, no, that's great. I myself am most familiar with your work on Bitch Planet.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
worked on Bitch Planet.
My partner and I love Bitch Planet, and I know that one of my friends, when she eventually sees the message I sent her this morning, is going to lose her shit because she really loves Bitch Planet.
I love it too. I actually have a non-compliant tattoo that
So
I cannot show you in a very inappropriate place.
that's fair. Well, I'm stoked to have you on the show, and I'm looking forward to checking out some more of the other stuff that you've done. I know that um, some of them are in my wish list right now. Actually, for Comixology, I've got a very long wish list.
That sounds like me.
But today we're talking about HeartThrob, which is written by Christopher Sebela with Robert Wilson IV on pencils and Nick Filardi on colors. And I believe it was Crank on letters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who's also worked all
yeah.
over the place. Worked with them.
I've got I think we've done about 6 or 7 comics on the show already that were all lettered by Crank. So,
Yeah,
and not sure if this is the second or third Chris Sabella comic that I've discussed on the show.
he's a good writer.
He is. I do. Yep. The last one I did was Crowded with DB Andre, and that was a really great chat. I love Crowded. I'm really stoked for this final issue coming out soon.
Yeah, I love everything that he writes. Um, every time I think that the book is not going to be for me, it surprises me. So
Yeah. No, exactly. I wasn't 100% sure about this one when I saw it. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and like I wasn't aware of Chris yet when I found this book. So I gave it a read. And I'm like, oh, actually, no, this is really neat. And then after I read this, I got on to seeing some posts about Crowded, and the tagline for Crowded. I was like, okay, that's got me.
yeah, Chris and I have talked a bit about how like he's a writer who's really interested in people who have their jobs.
Yeah, I
And I
dig
was
that.
like, well, apparently I'm a reader that's interested in
Yeah,
people who have their jobs.
yeah. No, I know what you mean by that. I've got like a lot of the comics I read actually now are about that sort of thing, like cool people in really weird positions.
Yeah.
I saw here that there's an alternate cover by Jamie McKelvey. I'm gonna have to look that one up because I've only got the Comixology version, so I haven't seen that yet. I do really like Jamie's work as well, but I haven't seen that piece in particular.
Yeah, I haven't either. Sometimes they put them in the trades, but I don't see it in here.
So it's a pretty interesting premise for this comic, isn't it?
I love it. I love it so much. I don't know how much you're gonna go into other issues, but we were talking about Crank, and there's like an amazing page of lettering where there's a fight happening.
Oh yeah, that's ringing a bell. Well, yeah, just
Later.
a quick warning to anyone in the chat and or watching this on YouTube. If you haven't read this comic yet, we're going to be going through issue 1 today, which you can get for $2 on Comixology right now at the link that's either in the chat or in the YouTube description. If you haven't read it, there's probably going to be spoilers like 15 minutes in, so
Yay.
come back and watch the show if you care about spoilers.
Do you want me to show the panel?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It's this one where the
Oh, yeah.
balloons.
Yes, I loved that panel.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I realize my camera's not focusing very well, but just something that close up But yeah. Oh man.
No,
So good.
that's yeah. There's so much to love about Crank's lettering, and that's something I always try to mention in the show. Is like I don't notice lettering when I'm reading the book the first time around, but every time I reread a book to get ready for the show, I really start to pay attention, and I always try to make sure that we cover the lettering a little bit in the show because letterers don't get enough love.
True.
And the sort of the thing that I have decided is sort of my viewpoint on lettering is that that's the point of lettering when you're reading a comic is good lettering you don't notice when you're reading. It enhances the story and it fits, but you don't notice it because it's so perfect. But bad lettering is immediately noticeable.
I know people say that, but like, I guess it's because I look at scripts all day, and so
Yeah.
there's no lettering happening. That whenever I pick up a comic, I like genuinely appreciate like really good lettering. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
good font choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I always find that, because, I have ADHD, so I don't notice a lot of little details the first time around. But that's something that I found is in my experience as an ADHD reader is perfect, is that good lettering enhances the story, but doesn't immediately make its presence known to me. But every time I reread a book, I'm like, oh shit, so yeah, no, that's why I liked that so much. This does this, and it fits this story style and this art style perfectly. But if I notice lettering immediately on a read through, it's usually because it doesn't mesh with what I'm reading, and it sort of brings me out of the immersion of the story.
I mean, totally, especially if like word balloon placement is wacky, where you're just like
Yeah,
reading conversation out of order and you have no idea like what is happening, and then you're like, oh, after you've read it, you're like, it was supposed to go this other way.
right. And
Yeah.
something I've noticed with comics that Chris has done is that I can't remember how many panel count really this comic has, but in things like Crowded and Test, on some pages there's a massive panel count and also a lot of word balloons, but they're just placed so correctly that it doesn't
Also,
feel busy.
also the use of like different colors, different like the background colors, like not just using white as a choice, and
Yes.
my like rounded square or rounded like rectangular versus like your circular word balloons.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And the first thing I noticed looking at the art for the interiors for this comic is it is very different and has its own distinct style. But before I really got to know a lot of the different artists in the community, I got strong Michael Allred vibes from the
Oh,
first couple of pages, and I really loved that. I love that bold line work.
yeah, I never thought of Robert's art like being similar, but like I could definitely see that. He draws faces very differently.
Yeah, he does. He does faces very differently, but like the
Yeah,
placement
same
and
line width and stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh, I was gonna say the same line width and stuff. It's like
Yeah,
very,
I love that look, and I love seeing different artists with that sort of similar style interpreting it in their own way. Like the bold placement here on the first page in the hospital scene with all the black, thick brushstroke lines and shadows and stuff gives me like big eye zombie vibes. But it's also it very much its own thing, and that immediately got me into the story. I'm like, I want to see the rest of this because I love the dynamism here.
I mean, now I can totally see this. I can totally see what you're saying with like all that stuff, which is so funny because I never related it to that. Like I've known Robert for several years now, and so like, um, and actually he did some Bitch Planet stuff too, but that was before me. And him and I have worked together on an anthology. But he like as soon as I saw that, like, he was doing a book with Chris, and then I found out Nick was coloring it, I was like, oh, I gotta come
Yep.
up. So, and I just realized, like, my issue 1 is signed by Chris, which I
Oh,
forgot.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, my Broken Bear is signed by Frankie, but I'd love to get a hardcover something with Oh, hang on. Let me just adjust your mic a little bit. Apparently, your mic is a little bit quieter than mine. That should do it. Nick is in the chat.
Nick! You're such a good colorist.
Yeah, I'm loving these colors. Um, yeah, I
Should
would
I?
love to get something signed by Chris and the entire Crowded crew, which is difficult since they're all in different countries.
Yeah, Trina colors that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
I can tell you, um, I'm in the middle of scheduling an episode with Tree at the moment too, and I can't wait.
She's really cool.
Yep. Tree's the
That's
only
really
person from the Crowded crew that I haven't spoken to yet, and I've been itching to since last year, and she said she'll come on this season. So that's going to be really fun because I love her coloring, and I really want to hear her perspective on whatever comic we talk about.
I made the mistake of saying her name wrong the first time I met her, and that was so embarrassing.
I think I have said it wrong by accident on this show a few times now, hearing you say it. But it's kind of the curse of being in Australia, you know. I get to enjoy all of these amazing comics.
It's the curse of being Irish. Is that everyone gets their name wrong.
What
So
I know what you mean, but
yeah.
I never hear anyone's names out loud because most of you don't come to Australian conventions, and most of the media that covers the comic scene isn't here. It's the curse of the Australian comic scene, so I keep having to look everybody's name up before we do the show.
Oh my god. I mean, it's hard because, people like conventions don't want to fly out like people other than like big name actors and
Yeah.
stuff. So
I know I've dropped
makes
your name in the suggestion box a bunch of times for Oz Comic Con.
that's really kind. One day I'll get out there.
Yeah, it's funny because I used to know some of the people that organized the talent, and then it got sold to a new company.
Is it owned by Reed?
It was. It was, and it's not now.
Oh.
Yeah, they
Okay.
sold it last. Was it the start of last year or late the year before? Late the year before. They sold it to a new company. They're still doing PAX in Australia, but they're not doing Oz Comic Con anymore.
Yeah, I've been to PAX Prime one day. It was the most insane 24 hours of my life.
Yeah, I went to my first PAX in 2019 down in Melbourne, and it was crazy. 3 days of convention.
It's the same as like the Washington, so it's in the Washington State Convention Center, and which is the same convention center that Emerald City Comic Con is held at.
Yep.
And for massive as Emerald City Comic Con is, they don't do these like, oh my god, it feels like 2-story tall like installations like these, and that's all, like every booth at PAX is just like floor to ceiling.
Yes.
It's insane and was so overwhelming. And actually, so one of my friends is, God, what did he tell me his technical role is? I don't know. Anyway, I have a friend that works in the video game industry that's worked there for a long time. And he was there, and so I got to meet like a bunch of different developers, and that was really cool. And then some of my friends that graduated from college like a year or two before me, they like, one of them was working at Harmonix and another one at Square, and so it was just really cool like getting in touch with people that I hadn't seen for like over a decade.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I actually met my boss at that PAX.
Oh wow.
I met this company And we met them at the airport and didn't know who they were. They were just also obviously going to PAX, and they'd just been on the same flight from Brisbane. And
Wow.
we're like, "Oh, you guys going to PAX? Yeah, yeah, we are. We're demoing. Oh, cool. Okay, I'll see if we can come and find you later and see what you're doing." And then I circle around later because I was down there to demo my board game and get some playtesting feedback. Um, Circled back and found them. It turns out they're this company that does augmented reality for tabletop RPGs.
Wow.
And I'd seen their promo video like a year before. I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay." And then a year later, I'm enrolled in a social media marketing course so I can have the piece of paper to wave at some employers and say, "Look, I can do the job.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 6 years already, but here's a piece of paper to say so." And I
Yes.
just happened to mention to the boss, "Hey, I just enrolled in this course because I've been trying to get out of hospo and into marketing." He's like, "Are you interested in community management?" Like, are you kidding me? Working for this company whose product I already talk about all the time? And
Yeah, it's really wild, and like there are just so many people now. I feel like the video game industry has become a lot closer to the comic book industry. Um
agreed.
so a
Um,
lot of worlds seem to be merging. I would say like web comics too are
yes.
it's less of a divide. I feel like, especially now that companies like Boom are using Kickstarter, which is like just so bizarre to me.
Yeah,
Um,
the comics Kickstarter scene is a whole thing on its own.
because Keanu definitely needed money to kickstart his comic.
That whole thing,
Oh my god.
we don't have time
I'm
to unpack all that.
like I'm never getting hired by Boom ever again. I have talked so much crap about like their company policies. Like they're never gonna hire me ever again. It's just fine because like they never really paid any money. So I mean,
Yeah, you gotta go where you're getting paid.
I mean it sucks too because like they have a lot of like really cool stuff that they work on, and there's amazing books that get put out through them. Oh god, there was something else that I just saw the other day that's being published by Boom that I thought was really cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've seen a couple of new ones recently that looked really neat, but yeah.
I burned that bridge. Okay, I'm gonna reply to Nick. He said bridge score. I burned that bridge probably like a year and a half ago when I broke down how their what they pay colorists equates to about $2 an hour. So um it's bad. I know they have a sliding scale, but like their sliding scale makes no sense. So yeah, I definitely burned that bridge, and I posted a Simpsons gif of me burning a bridge. So
That's fair. That's
yeah.
fair. Um, but yeah, back to like onto the comic that we're actually talking about today. This always happens. I always get excited about just so many other comics. Um, and especially since, one of the creators is in the chat.
Well,
um, this opening page is fantastic to me. Like this could have been a really boring scene if not drawn, inked, and colored by the right people. Just a hospital scene where you're trying to display all of these things in one page
mm-hmm.
and your static imagery. That's tricky. That could, to capture all of that energy and the frantic uh, ambience of a friggin' heart transplant operation.
No, but you're okay. So I don't know if you noticed this with the colors, but Nick used red for like the first scene is the red with like the blood and the heart,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything having to do. Oh my God, what's the dude's name?
Mercer?
Yes, thank you. Jeez. Everything having to do with Mercer is like color coded to be red.
You're right. I hadn't made that connection, but you're right.
And like anytime she like wilds out like with Mercer, it's like everything becomes red, and that follows through with the second volume too, or like an
Yeah.
orangey color, which I also really like the fact that, especially in the second volume, um, that it's not pink because I mean, I use pink too, but um, it's like orange, which like really gives that 70s vibe too. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I also love on the box that the heart comes out of here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be foreshadowing, but it feels like it is. How it's got Playmate,
oh my god, I didn't notice that.
and yeah, that's the ghost boyfriend.
Yeah, yeah. It's so good. Like, I don't know. Everything about this book is like, there's so many like twists and turns, and sometimes you can see that stuff coming
Yeah.
in different like media formats, but even, oh my god, even the end of volume 2, I was like, what the fuck? Like every time, like the cliffhanger is like so good.
Just so you know, guys, we've passed the 20 minutes mark, so spoilers are fair game now. So if you haven't read this comic, go read it and come back. So
um
remind me of that. It's been a while since I read that far through volume 2.
oh my god, can I show the last page?
Yeah, go
Are
for
we
it. They've had a warning.
It's been out for a while, so um she goes to prison. She like, or not prison. She like checks herself into like a mental
Yes, I
institute
remember that.
slash prison looking place. And then she gets a visitor on the last page, and
Yes,
it's Mercer.
that's
So
right. Yeah, I think
he is alive.
somehow. I remember that
Yeah.
now. I remember reading that one and going, "What the fuck, Chris?"
Like, excuse me?
Yeah,
How does one lose that heart?
it's like I don't know how long it's going to be until the next volume of this comes out. How could you do me like this?
That's what I was just Googling, which I was gonna do beforehand. Um, is it out already?
I'm not sure. Don't remember seeing it, but maybe it is. Let me just check Comixology here.
Yeah,
Um,
it's out already. Oh my lord.
well,
It's
I'm
said it,
behind then.
it said it came out December 8th. So we're not
Okay,
too
yeah, I was all
in
over the
my
place
world.
then.
In my world, I'm on time because it's only been like a month. So
Yeah, and I don't think Chris mentioned that to me. He was on the show like that week. It was either that week or the week after he was on the show.
oh my god, I gotta get volume 3.
Oh man, all right, that's going
And
straight in the wish list right now because I
I was
have.
just about to say, I was gonna say add it to my wish list.
Yep,
Oh Lord, I have a problem.
because
I'm
I
putting it
remember.
on my wish list though. So
Yeah, because I remember her, like hooking up with that other band of thieves. That shit went south, and then
man,
yeah,
her brain is so amazing. Like, just like doing all these things, and you're like, oh, she's trying to live a normal life. She's trying to do this. She's trying to do that, and she's like, actually, I've calculated all these things out, and it's like, holy shit,
yep,
so good.
yep, yeah, and all that happens, and then yeah, and then she checks herself into the asylum, and then fucking Mercer turns up, and I'm like, no, I need to read more of this right now.
No, it felt weird too reading volume 2 because I'm an American who left and moved to Canada, and then she goes to Canada to escape, and I was like, "Oh, we're the same."
No, I
Oh
get
my
that.
god! Oh, also, can I say like the trades? You don't get this obviously with the digital, but the first volume has like spot gloss on her
Oh, that's
glass,
cool.
so nerdy, and then the second one has spot gloss on their guns.
Yep.
It's like just like a really nice touch.
But now that I know that all three trades are out, I'll definitely be hitting up my local at some point so that I can get them.
Oh my god, I know.
We don't have many locals left in Brisbane, though, to be honest.
It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year.
Yeah.
I'm not Canadian yet, D&D nerd for.
Yeah. Almost
Just
all
live
of
here.
our Um, almost all of our local comic shops closed like 3 years ago. I think there's like two left.
Oh. Oh, but shout out to Dylan Todd for the design work. It's really pretty. And then do you guys get like in the in betweens, do you get like the chapter?
I'm not sure yet. Um, so I've only
Like,
got the single issue. I haven't bought the volume.
oh, okay, okay.
So I'm not 100% sure. I would imagine yes. I'd imagine like buying the full volume, you get all the same back matter and everything. Um,
Yeah, sometimes it's sometimes they don't show like these kind of pages like the chapter breakdowns.
yeah,
So, which is just like nice design work.
it really is.
Oh yeah, I have a Heartthrob enamel pin somewhere too. I love
Oh,
Heartthrob.
cool. That's cool. I would love that as well. I can't wait for my Starless Daydream books to get here because Frankie ended up making a pin of one of the organizations of the mech fighting corps.
I have way too many enamel pens. I have like
Yeah,
3 pens.
I don't have too many, but I do have started getting a lot. I got my favorite one at the moment is the one I got at that PAX again, and it's a pixel art ibis, and we call them bin chickens here. And so
Bin chick.
this pin was nicknamed the pin chicken.
It's because they eat the trash?
Yeah, yeah, it's because they're always standing on a bin, fishing through the garbage.
Are they like crows? Like the crows of Australia?
Well, they're same. You know, like if there are crows, chances are there's a flock of ibis nearby somewhere as well.
So weird. That's so weird. You guys have all the weird animals. You got like flying foxes and
Yeah, we got koalas in the park behind my house.
that's so cool.
I'm never awake
I'm
early
derailing
enough though.
so much. I'm derailing this show so much.
No, this is how the show goes, and this is what it is. It's just like I said, it's the show where we talk about comics. Sometimes we don't even get through a whole issue. Sometimes we get through the whole issue at the start of the show, and then we just talk about the rest of the comic. You know, there's no pressure here. We can talk about whatever we want. It's just fun to talk comics with other creators.
Okay, so what I will say, going back to it about the colors too, is it's like modern day life is like fairly desaturated, and everything also, like I said, it ramps up with like Mercer, but like it's interesting when the uses of like orange and green and like the play of red and blues happen, and like all of this stuff I look at and I get extremely inspired by. This stuff like always makes me want to like up my game
Yeah.
big time.
I love the page where Callie's talking to the doctor after the transplant when she's getting discharged, and just like the friggin' storm cloud and the smoke cloud, and something I struggle with in my own art is knowing when to use black lines and when to use colored lines in the line art. I'm
That's why
not
you need to hire a colorist.
Yeah, exactly. But like yeah, when I'm inking and stuff like that, I'm just like because I do a lot of art for TTRPGs and stuff like that as well, and my board game art. So sometimes I'm like, oh, should I do this all black line art or what should I do here? So when I see
I'm
something,
out right now with a page.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I see something executed so nicely like these clouds, I admire the hell out of it.
Yeah, and it brings you through the entire page.
Yeah,
It's good coloring.
it really is. And I tell you what, I cannot wait to sit down and read the Colorpedia and actually start practicing colors with the comics that came with it.
What
Um,
is the Colorpedia? What are these resources? I'm
okay, so this is a thing that came out on Kickstarter last year. It's
okay.
called Render Wave Colorpedia, and it's a whole bunch of comics colorists got together and created a guide on coloring artwork.
All right, let's look at this. Let's look at this.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it
Colors.
in the chat actually for anyone that might not have seen it yet. And I just got my digital copies last week. Um,
I'm like, where was I? Why did I never hear about this? I
I
would
don't
have
know.
like,
It was all over Twitter for a while. I shared the heck out of it as well. And it was actually a nice surprise. I got my digital rewards, and I forgot that I had backed it for a physical copy as well. So I downloaded my digital rewards, and then I just went and checked my pledge. I'm like, oh, $70. That means I'm getting the card cover. But it came with
wait, was this Chris Sotomayor's?
I'm not sure. I know that like Rich and Joe Mulvey contributed the inks for Wailing Blade #1 as one of the stretch goals, so that you could practice coloring Wailing Blade. And actually
That's
ended up
cool.
with 3 full black and white #1s of different comics to practice coloring on.
That's pretty cool. Did
Yeah,
they
and
provide you flats or was it just the line art?
just the line art so that you can learn the whole thing because like they've got chapters on flatting and everything.
I'm such a jerk. I'm like, well, were they flatted?
No, I'm stoked that they weren't because I want to learn. Like, I always do flats on my art before I shade or anything, so I want to learn how to do it properly with color fit theory because, like I said again, I do all my own board game art, and when I do a D&D adventure, I do my own coloring and stuff like that. Um, because
Like,
I'm a broke bench who can't afford to hire anyone.
look, I still flat covers. Does that make you feel better? Or if I'm doing like pinup stuff, like I tend
Yeah,
to just for like funsies, I'll flat up myself. Which I've streamed on Twitch before, like ages ago. And I was like, God, this must be the most boring thing watching me flat a page. So
nah, I would dig it. I would have that on, and I'd have that. I've got a split screen set up here, and I would like have that on while I'm drawing something else in the other window because
let's see.
I just dig it.
Render wave.
And it looks like you can pre-order now. Like they've still got orders open since everything was successful.
Holy crap. There's like, okay, I don't know those people. I don't know these people.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with too many of their names, but the
I wonder
work.
if they're like biz dev people. Um, they look like visual development people, like from that world.
Mm,
Oh my god, this is so boring. You're just watching me read.
no, it's all right.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, seriously. At the start of last week's episode, Frankie and I went on a friggin' rabbit hole looking at Transformers for like 30 minutes. But like this is really cool. And if you are in the chat and don't have a copy of this book yet and are still like on your artistic journey, definitely go grab a copy, whether it's the digital or the physical. I think it's going to be super handy. I picked up another one recently as well, which I'll link in the chat, called "What They Don't Teach You in Art School." I only got the digital copy of that, and it's
A
about
lot.
yeah, exactly. And it's about being a freelancer and actually running your own business as an artist. Because I actually backed that the week after my partner and I dropped out of art school because they weren't teaching us any of the things that we were there to learn.
Mm.
They didn't have any illustration classes, they didn't have sculpture in terms of ceramics, they didn't have any textile art classes, and this was supposed to be like the top 3 best schools in Australia for fine arts.
Holy crap, what?
Mm-hmm. So we
That's awful. I mean, my degree was in illustration, so I obviously got illustration classes.
there is no illustration degree here.
Yeah, and it's weird here because it's a visual, it's a, what is it? It's a business development or business design or something like that. It's a different degree,
Yeah,
like, and I got a bachelor's in it.
that's
Like a
pretty
bachelor's
cool.
of fine art, and I think it's like a bachelor's of of God, visual design or something weird. It's a different like bachelor's that we don't even like have in the States.
Yeah, that's really
So
cool. I can't
because my
even
friend is
major
like,
in illustration here.
I mean, it's kind of in a lot of ways like in a lot of ways, I hate to say it's like a dying thing. A lot of people don't use, illustrations like they used to, like I'm thinking golden age of
Yeah,
illustration. Um, but like in a lot of ways, I think it's become more focused. So like visual development, going into like a visual development degree or going into a sequential art degree,
yeah,
there's like it's become more like split and fine tuned into
yeah.
kind of the field that you want to go into.
I wish we
Um,
had that here. We don't even have sequential art classes here.
wow.
No, none of that. There's
I
nothing.
just don't know, Australia.
Comics is not respected here. Like, teachers called my work lowbrow.
Well, I mean,
Yeah. And it's so
it's
annoying.
such a weird thing with like I have really like uppity illustration teachers who one of the ones I'm thinking of doesn't work at the school anymore. But they would my favorite example, okay, this is one of my favorite art school stories is okay, I want you to pick one of your favorite celebrities and you're going to paint them. I was like, oh my God. I was super into Lolita. I was like, I'm going to draw Aya because from Psycho Lashem.
Yep.
And he's also like a famous model. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to like play off of like a classic Rococo painting and it's going to be great. And I bring it in and we go in for critique and she's like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go one by one for the pieces and then we're going to ask the students, who is this, to see if you've painted them like as they look. And I'm like, well, what the hell, everybody's doing like Michael Jackson
Of course
and
they
like
are.
all these like super super famous people to Americans, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I would have painted somebody different. You told me like my favorite celebrity,
Yeah.
so I've like my favorite Harajuku model.
But yeah, if that's going to be the brief, then they should have told you to bring a
Yeah.
picture of said celebrity.
And so then I get there, nobody knows who I painted, and my teacher's like, "Oh, well, you must not have painted their likeness correctly." And it's like, what?
No, you just don't know who this person
I
is.
don't know who they are.
Yep, I would have, if I'd done that, I would have copped the same thing. My
Classic.
my favorite one actually was also from painting class. We had the we had this studio foundations class, right? We got 3 hours for each class, two classes a week for like 4 weeks at a time. No, 6 weeks. 6 weeks at a time. So in 6 weeks, we're supposed to pick up the foundations of each of these disciplines, and they give us a mini assignment to complete every week. So on day one, the photography studio teacher says, they've changed everything. I don't have enough time to teach you anything. So don't worry about the technical skills. We're just going to focus on the conceptual thing, which is what this class is about. And I'm not going to grade you on how good your photography is, just how well you executed your concept. I'm sorry, they've changed it and I don't have time to teach you. I'll do my best. He was so mad. Because previously, the classes were spread out on different days for studio foundations, and there was 6 hours a day.
Oh my God.
But they dropped it to 3 hours within 6 weeks. So we'd have photography and then go down the hall to painting. Now, the painting teacher we had to do a painting every week. Didn't teach us what different paintbrushes were for, didn't actually teach us what different mediums were for and how they do what they do, and would give us a different style of painting and say, this is the style of painting we're covering this week. Now go make a painting. And we would have to have one done every week so that we would have an entire thing to do a portfolio review at the end of the semester.
You're making me feel very grateful for my art school.
Oh yeah.
I purposely chose like the hardest teachers. because I wanted to, well, I guess I'm not much of a masochist, but like I wanted to make sure that I was challenged.
Yep.
And um
I wish I was
and
challenged.
I didn't learn anything about comics the entire time I was in
Well,
school.
that's it. I went there with the purposes of learning photographic techniques to help me with my TTRPG stuff and product photography, and learning proper traditional drawing techniques to inform my comics work. Then I get into a life drawing class, and they're like, "Oh, we don't teach life drawing the traditional way anymore. You can just learn that from a book. This is how we teach it." And it was ridiculous. And almost every single class that this main teacher had, somebody left the room crying.
I mean, one of my teachers was notorious for that.
Yeah.
Um uh oh my god. So I was on like antidepressants that made me gain like a ton of weight in art school. And then I lost it all off and then some. I'm on my way back up, but that's COVID, right? But and then I went to New York Comic Con and I saw my that teacher there, and I was like, oh my god. And I said hello to him, and he looked at me and he's like, do I know you? And I said who I was, and he was like, oh my god, you look good. And it was weird because I've like never seen him freaked out.
Yep.
But he genuinely didn't recognize me because of how different I looked. Also, I used to wear like really ill-fitting clothes and I was covered in paint all the time at art school. So I never wore makeup.
Yep.
Um and so it was just like a very different, I looked like a very different person.
No,
Um
I get that. Our teachers were all obsessed with abstract art at my school. Abstract fine art is what's popular in Australia right now. We're like 10 years behind the rest of the world in what's actually.
You're telling me it's water?
Well, we did, we did those 6 paintings, and one of them we had to come up with a collage and then do a painting based off that collage. So I did. Is it here? No, it's not. I did a skateboard deck, and I created a collage of a bunch of cool pictures and created this cool character, which is now something that I'm writing a comic based off. And it was like this 70s inspired, spy movie poster looking piece, really posterized with a TV head and the old fashioned race car and stuff. And I spent ages on it. We get to the marking day, and he's like, yeah, see, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. This is like more like a drawing masquerading as a painting.
What does that mean?
Because I did it in an illustrative style, and it was realism, not some abstract bullcrap, which is what this guy liked. And then on the very last week, we just had to do abstract expressionism and just throw shit at a canvas, which is what I did. I just spray painted and splattered crap all over the canvas. And then when we did our display, just to see what would happen, because it vaguely had a corpsey, ribcagey pattern in it by accident, I took that and I took some throwing star push pins that I had, and I pinned it to the wall with those. He spent 20 minutes raving on about how much he loved that.
Oh my god.
But the skateboard that I'd spent like 3 weeks working on, he crapped on for being a drawing masquerading as a painting.
Do you have to pay a lot of money to go to this school?
Yeah, that was $9,000 a year, or was a semester.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like a real asshole. My school is like $36,000 a semester.
Yeah,
This is why. Okay, this is why it's funny to me because like Canadians tell me how much their student loans are, and they're like, "It's so much money," and I'm like, "You have no idea how bad it is in America." Like, it's so bad. And when people say a lot, they never talk specifics.
Yep.
Because it's money, and it's just. I got Screaming Eagle American Education. Yeah. Actually, hold hold on. Oh, you can't see it. That's my diploma.
Oh.
Yeah, baby. I got that Ringling education.
They got defunded so hard last year that they can no longer call their degree a fine art degree because they had to drop so many classes. It's a visual arts degree now, and it's still 8,300 a year.
That's crazy.
But you know what they did after we left? They added an illustration module.
Oh my god, of course they did. Well, when I was graduating, they added more visual design. They added a game design major. They added in an entire film department. Like everything completely changed. And then my like the area for illustration was called Ross Camp.
Yep.
And they tore down all those buildings. And so I haven't been back. I graduated in 2010 and I haven't been back to the school since. But one of my like best friends and my roommate for 3.5 years, she went back a couple years later, and this was before they tore down Ross Camp. And they like built up another like huge building on campus, and she's like, it's totally different. So one day I'll get back there, but it's weird because the people that they favored, like the students that they favored, when I was in school are the students that they're still favoring now.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
And they sent out like there's now some alumni awards that they're doing, and they send them alumni awards. And I'm like, what is this? Like, well, how does one even acquire one of these? Like,
Right.
what did these people do? Like, it's very weird. It feels very cliquey.
Yeah.
And
it was like that here too.
I was never a part of that world, which was weird because I was a student ambassador. I was on student council and ran 2 committees. And I was an activities director for a club. And I worked with like a nonprofit through the school to like help bring art education into like English classes. So we like raised money for like a bunch of like God, what is this, like Kipling or something books?
Yep.
And then we did like projects based on like it was like different projects that were like art projects that they could incorporate into the English class so that the kids could have some art in their lives. But yeah, and that was a really cool thing that I did, but I was able to do. Oh, and then we did these like skateboard decks with kids too.
Oh, that's cool. I love doing skateboard art.
Yeah. Also another nonprofit. And I was just like steeped in nonprofit work. Always. And I'm like, I know I do too much. Like just I don't have enough time ever.
I hear you.
It was like, at least you're not bored. I'm like, no, I have the opposite problem. Like, I burn myself out.
Yeah, right? Like, I can't stop thinking about the things that I've got going on.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, it's just weird to me that it was like, oh, I don't play the political game, you know, because I speak my mind. So it's never, I'm not like the type of person that they'd want to show off. So
yeah,
it was gross.
Yeah, and that was our problem as well. We got like shunned by most of the students, my partner and I, because we didn't play the game and we didn't suck up everybody's butt and we didn't do the kind of art that they wanted.
Oh, hey, actually, I have a shout out. Oh my gosh, what's her last name? Her first name is Megan. Give me 1 second. This is important in regards to my school. No Twitter. Okay, it is Ruiz. So, she is being sued by the head of residency, the former head of residency from my school, and for talking about his abuse on all of these students, especially that worked
I think I've heard about this case.
as RAs at the school.
Yeah.
She's got money for GoFundMe that so that she can actually take this guy down, because like he's suing her for defamation.
Yeah, I
She's like,
think I've heard
hey,
about that one.
we're petitioning the school to get you fired because you're an abusive asshole, and here's all of these people who have signed on saying that you've abused them, and he's like, I'm suing you for defamation. And it's like, wow. So
Well, feel free to drop that in the chat as well.
oh, but she's like, it's because she was like the face of it. He's suing her. So.
Yeah, of course.
Not like the, 100 other people or whatever. 60 other people. Yikes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I know, it's crazy. And like, she doesn't even live in Florida. And so she's like gonna have to fly to Florida to like deal with this stuff. It's really bad. It's so stupid. Especially during COVID. It's like, what are you doing, dude? I put a link in the
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that it works.
Twitch chat.
Come on.
Anyway, wow, we really super derailed.
That's all right. This happens. It's been a really fun chat, though. It's like finding out that art school everywhere kind of sucks.
But that's the thing is, it's like I met some of like the most important people in my life at art school, and so like there really are these like solid connections that you can make with people, and that the most important part of art school, which is what I fear now because of COVID, like people aren't really getting, is that connection with your peers, because those are the people that are going to be entering the industry. In theory, those are the people that like are going to be rising up with you in the industry, and like you should be lifting each other up.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like people say, like everything's nepotism, like it's all who you know, and it's like you are basically paying for those connections, like physically paying for connections. And it's wild. And I saw like oh god, I don't know if he does animation or if he does visual development, but I follow him on Twitter and his art's amazing. And I can't remember his name right now, but I was just seeing like last night where like some white guy saying like, he's just random mediocre white guy on Twitter, the internet, something like, you should like paying for art school is a disaster or something like that, or like you should never pay for art school, like making one of those like full blanket statements. And the guy was like, yeah, I paid for this and got a master's in this, and this is what has opened doors for me in the industry, because otherwise I wouldn't know where to go, because the community that I come from never had access to this, and I would never have had access to this if I didn't like accrue these student loans.
Yeah.
And it's like just like a really one of those moments where you sit back and you're like, this is a place of privilege, of just making a blanket statement that like you should never go to an art school,
right?
There are amazing art schools, and like there are amazing teachers. I had some amazing teachers. My mom follows one of my teachers on Facebook and is friends now with his wife. Like it's very.
When I went to the school for game design, I had one amazing teacher. I was very disappointed when we went back for fine art to find out that they no longer had that class. And it was illustration for design. And that was where I met my first comics creator, which was a guest lecturer, Stuart McKenney.
That's awesome.
And yeah, he came in and did a guest lecture about illustration and comics and doing that for design. And then in another department, unfortunately not my department, are you familiar with the Eldritch Kid or the Kid Phantom comics?
Yeah.
The artist for those, Paul Mason, is a teacher at that school.
Oh.
But he's a teacher in the film department. He teaches animation.
All of these departments departments are like in my mind are so separate.
Yep.
Unless he's teaching like storyboarding.
I'm not sure. He was teaching. I think he has animation skills as well. So film and
Oh,
animation is all one degree over there.
that's weird because those are two very different things.
Yes. Yes. And that's it. It's just because Australia doesn't actually value everything to the degree that it should be. They combine stuff all the time that realistically should have a whole own degree. Like there is a degree in just animation, but it is taught over at the film school because that's where all
Okay,
the editing computers and stuff like that are.
the people that I know from Australia, they in New Zealand, they uh, both have like animation degrees, and but they ended up working in like one of my friends ended up work. Well, both of them ended up working in Vancouver, um, but one of the other ones like moved to Korea and now is back in Australia
Yeah.
for animation. But a lot of the people that I've seen, like for like really awesome artists from Australia, are all visual development people. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's where the jobs are in Australia.
makes sense.
Like comics and stuff like that, you have to self-publish here. Gestalt is the only Australian comics publishing house that is actually doing anything.
And that's like pretty equivalent to that's pretty equivalent to kind of like a Fanagraphics kind of style publisher,
Yeah, something like
where it's
that.
like more artsy kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, they're great guys, but they're like the only publishing house in Australia. You know that Bluey, the Bluey the dog kids show?
No.
Oh, it's about a blue cattle dog and his family.
Yeah.
And that's made by former Griffith Film School students,
Okay,
which is
cool.
the film school section of that art school. The Griffith Film School has so many amazing talents that have come out of it. Daybreakers was made by former students there, and it was made here in Brisbane. But the QCA, the Queensland College of Art, almost everyone that went there is no longer in Brisbane that is actually doing anything with their career. Unless they're purely doing gallery showings and fine art competitions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I follow is it Fuck You Baker? Is that the guy's name?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I follow his stuff. I really like his stuff. And then I'm trying to think of the other person from Australia that does like a lot of fine art show stuff. Crap, I'm so bad with remembering names on the spot. It's really, really bad. It's not great for conventions for me.
I know that feel.
Okay, so hold on really quick. It's page 16. It's this red. So this is what I like. This is like the penultimate kind of
Oh,
page.
yes.
Nick playing with colors.
Let me just bring that up.
With the red and then like even like a map where you would think, I don't know what issue this is. This is issue like 3 maybe. But even with like a map where you'd be like, oh, this is green on blue,
Yeah.
and then all the little points would be red, the map is orange. Like it's really smart. Like there's so many like choices.
I'm seeing what you mean about the orange when Mercer related things are happening too, because here in the scene where she's breaking up with that dickhead, and she's giving more into those impulses that are coming from Mercer, everything is orange.
It's so good. Like I love it when stuff is color coded because it's that subconscious that you're talking about with like good lettering where you look at it and you're just like, why does this work? And then when somebody goes, I did this thing, or somebody goes, this person did this thing, you're like, oh crap, because your brain is like filtering it, right?
Yeah.
But like you don't actively, you're not actively thinking about this stuff unless you're a freak like me. You're like, oh, this is good lettering. Oh, this is good coloring. Where I like Nick stuff and Matt Wilson stuff. Like every time I look at, I get kind of angry because they're so good, and
They
I'm like,
really are. And that's it. Like that's one of the reasons I love doing this show is I learn so much every episode from just talking with everyone and hearing their thoughts on how these comics were executed.
it's so good. Also, there's Fleetwood Mac. Like going back to Chris being like an awesome writer, there's Fleetwood Mac throughout both volumes. I will assume that issue 3 will have Fleetwood Mac in it too. But like the songs that are playing in the background are Fleetwood Mac, and then specifically in volume 2, she talks about listening to rumors, and like it's just she's like Fleetwood Mac is like her jam for
Yeah.
like
I think volume 2 is called Rumors.
what is issue 2 called
I
Rumors?
think I saw something like that.
Coming back again. Walk a thin line.
Oh, where did I see Rumors before? I saw that written somewhere.
Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at the captioning and sometimes it doesn't understand your accent.
Yeah, web captioner is a bit tricky like that. Some of the things that it thinks I've said.
A sword something. Okay, I know we're going long, but or are we going long?
No, we're just barely because I hit record just before we went live.
Okay. So, did you grow up watching The Tribe?
I'm not sure. Let me have a look and see because I have terrible long-term memory sometimes.
It's from New Zealand, but it made itself known in America through.
Oh no, I've never heard of this.
It's so good, dude. I am so obsessed with it that oh my god, where is it? That I have read one of the novels that came out. Like, I have a problem. And I need to read the second novel because I think it's out already. But
Right.
it is so good. It's a post-apocalyptic, like, oh, actually, so speaking of COVID, it's basically like this is a little bit of spoilies, but the idea is that adults ended up killing themselves by rapidly aging by creating a virus on accident.
Yep.
That was supposed to be like the Fountain of Youth style serum, and instead it turns into an airborne virus, and all the adults start dying, and so the kids are left alone, and it ends up becoming like I guess an anarcho wet dream, where it's just like
Yep.
they all form tribes, and all the tribes are like battling, and it's just like this mass chaos, and it's the story of like this tribe that ends up forming around a mall, and they call themselves the Mall Rats. And it's like their story, but it's also like it's like a kids show.
Yep.
It's one of those.
I can't believe I didn't see that. I don't even know if it actually aired in Australia.
Oh, it definitely did, but it weirdly got popular enough for them to come over for Dragon Con one year, which I didn't know about the show until I was in college. So I totally missed that. Plus I've never been to a Dragon Con, which is weird because I grew up in the South. So.
Yeah, I haven't been to one either. Work has been over there a couple times, but I haven't been there.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing. I have a friend that goes every year.
Yeah, it looks like something else.
I feel like he's just modeling at this point. He's like, just sit right here, don't mind me.
Huh, yeah, it looks like we didn't get it until the early 2000s, and that must be why I missed it.
It's good. They have a CD. You should listen. If you listen to the CD, you're like, I'm never gonna watch this show. It's really cheesy.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, okay, dude. And then the last page, she's wearing a red shirt while she's doing like the heist.
Hang on, I'm skipping forward.
Also, she wears a red hat a lot of the times too.
She does.
When she's out to do bad things. So it's so good. I wonder if Nick is the one who came up with that. It's really good.
I mean, if he's still in the chat, I'm sure he could answer that question.
Am I giving him too much credit?
But yeah, I see what you mean with the red shirt at the end here.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Also, that like the green is like that nasty 70s green.
Yes.
It's very good. It's all very good.
It really is. There's so much to love about this book, for so many reasons.
And Robert is so good with drawing emotions.
He was responsible for that.
Damn it, Nick. I gotta get better.
Also, just quietly, this scene where they're sitting in the friggin' radio dish.
It's very good.
Yeah, I mean this in all the most honorable and respectful way, but for fuck's sake. That's skyline and that space scene. You didn't have to flex so hard. But you did.
There's certain scenes where it's like the night sky that I don't know if it's like this one looks more like color holds, but I sort of wonder if like parts of it were Nick also like doing like brush like little
yeah, I know what you mean.
This looks like maybe a color hold, but like where Robert did it and then Nick knocked it out to be white.
Oh, he said that was him painting it in.
God damn it. Okay, so he painted it in for everything because there's moments towards the end of volume 2 that it's like background and they're talking, like these pages.
Yeah.
Where they're talking. And like I was like, oh, he painted that in. You can see how nasty my fingers are. I like clip my nails super short.
Yep.
And it makes me angry.
No, it's so nice. It's really well done. And you know what? I just realized that I buggered something up and it's not capturing your captions for the live stream, but I can fix that for the YouTube.
Oh, it's not? Oh, I thought it was.
No, apparently it's not. It's capturing me, but I just realized there was a second step and I forgot to do that second step. So I'm going to...
A one-sided conversation this entire time.
Everyone can hear you at least, and for the YouTube version, I'm just going to run it through the process that I normally do, and that will put new captions over. Just means that for the live version now, people have only got captions for half of the conversation, but for the VOD, it will have both of us. See, I took like a 6-7 week break over the holidays, so that I had plenty of time to schedule everyone and get the new aesthetics and everything ready for the show. So I've forgotten about a couple of technical things that I usually do.
I was checking to see what the name of volume 3 was, and it didn't say in the back of the book.
So hang on. I've got that up here somewhere. Stop dragging my heart around.
Okay. Also, a Stevie Nicks song.
Yeah. Do you want to know something really strange I just found out about DC Comics?
About DC?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Apparently, they're renaming Black Adam.
What?
Yeah, apparently he's getting a new name because he's doing a face turn.
What?
Yeah, he's trying to be less of a anti-hero and more of a hero, less of a villain type. So they're renaming him Shazadam.
Are you kidding me?
No, I just read an article about it. Apparently it's legit. We'll see what happens, but apparently that's what they're renaming him.
I will. Okay. That I will. I will not say anything.
Shazadam!
Oh man,
That is
that's a.
something else.
That's what I will say. That's a choice.
Yeah.
That's a choice. I would love more work with DC, by the way, especially working with Christy because she's amazing. She's like one of my favorite editors of all time. She knows that I like. I'm very opinionated, and so she's called me to save my butt sometimes on stuff, and I'm like, thank you. I didn't realize that I was saying something controversial. So,
I get what you
oh,
mean. I
thank
mean,
you.
I'm wondering whether that's going to make it into the movies.
I don't know.
Because, I mean, can you imagine The Rock just turning around and being all like, hang on. I am Shazadam.
I'm waiting to see what the words come up looking like.
I am sure is Adam.
That was close.
It was close, but
Harry, you didn't say an actual word.
it's true. Yeah, it's true. That is bizarre. That's a choice.
It's a choice.
I love these characters. I love so many of the writers, but that's a weird choice.
It's a choice.
I even thought renaming Captain Marvel to Shazam wasn't a great choice. I saw all the licensing and issues in that. I'm like, surely there was a better name floated than the word he says to transform.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. That happened so long ago that it doesn't like affect me.
Yeah, I barely think about it anymore, but just thinking about Shazadam made me think about it again. It's like, that's the word he says to transform. What happens when he introduces himself to someone?
I guess he never does.
Oh.
Maybe it's the enthusiasm, the gusto that makes him transform.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's in how he says it and the intent in his heart.
Yeah, it's in his heart. That's what we'll go with. I never got into that character. I was always well, now I'm definitely more of like a Wonder Woman fan.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But was always into Batman.
I've always been. Sorry, you go.
It's funny as an adult because one of my friends made me realize that Batman is a cop.
Yeah, Batman is a cop.
Batman has all this money and invests it in himself and arming himself, and and he like has helped the police and Pentagon, which Batman you're looking at, and instead of like choosing to like put his money in more like social safety nets for the city, really, I mean, like I guess he helps with like jail, essentially. Arkham, right? Arkham's like crazy jail.
Yeah, and he'll dole out scholarships to people he thinks is worthy.
I mean, like, there's been stories where he's done like charitable things. He goes to like charity things all the time as Bruce Wayne, whatever. But like, he has like all of Gotham's money and he could do like all of these different things with it. And himself, he's like, nah, man, I'm going to build like the craziest car. I'm going to get a jet. I'm going to, you know, like, oh no, like I fell in love with like the wrong character. Like, what was I thinking as a kid? Because I grew up with like the '90s cartoon.
Yeah. So I've always been more of a Bat Family fan. So like all of the characters surrounding Batman, I've loved more than Batman himself.
Like Robin or like the villains?
No, all of the ones that he calls the Bat family. Batgirl, Batwoman, Robin, Nightwing, Alfred, the
Everybody loves
Signal.
Nightwing. Everybody loves Nightwing.
Yeah,
Gotta love
Nightwing. Nightwing is like, I don't follow a lot of Cape titles anymore, but like, for as far as DC goes, Nightwing is definitely one of them.
He's such a good character too. Like, and I mean that booty. I would be remiss to not mention that booty.
Especially now that yet again another fellow Australian is drawing him in Nicholas
Who
Scott.
is trying?
Nicholas
Nicholas?
Scott is doing him for Future State,
Oh, good.
and it
He's
is
amazing.
so good. It's real good.
Yeah. I feel like so out of sorts with comics because I just am like in my little like tunnel with the blinders up, like just working on my stuff, and
Yeah, I know what you mean.
um, it's so hard for me to actually like spend time and read comics. And the stuff that I typically have been buying is like weird stuff, like I was telling you about Vampironica.
Yep.
That's because I love Audrey, and like we worked on Josie and the Pussycats together, and I love her art, and I think she's like also just an awesome human being. And I love vampire stuff, so I thought that would be super fun. But I tend to buy like a bunch of Kickstarter stuff. And uh it's really cool because there's it makes it so there's like no barrier of entry, there's no gatekeeping happening. So
Yeah.
there's like people of color, queer folks, like all of this, like these stories that just really haven't been able to be told because of that like threshold of
Mm-hmm.
like the like money for paying for printing and distribution and like the logistics and the money of it, and just like getting people to actually pay attention to you and what you're doing. Um and Kickstarter's totally changed that. I've been saying this for years, like
Yeah,
that.
that's where I get most of my comics. Like my physical
Yeah,
comics, most of them come from Kickstarter.
I was able to kickstart like a 2 years ago, like African anthology.
Oh, cool.
And this is so cool. I get to see like I get comics from creators in Africa. Like how else would I have gotten that from Kickstarter unless I actually went to Africa?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, and it's all like really cool, and it's like a magazine that gets produced, and they decided to like kickstart it for more fun. So I
Very
love that.
cool. That's
But yeah, random Oni books and random Image books, and
Yep. That's honestly why I started this show, because I love all those comics and I don't hear enough chatter about them. So like, well, I'm gonna make a list of all these cool indie comics that I love and find someone else who loves them so we can hype them up.
yeah, and that's what I was telling you. Like I have Kim Reaper to read on my list too, another like Oni
Yeah,
book.
I'm gonna look that one
Oni-
up as well. I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Oni's in Portland. They were like a mile away from my apartment.
Nice.
My old apartment, yeah. Uh, and they put out so many good titles.
Yeah, I've got a few Oni ones that I like. Oh, this one looks
Yeah,
cool.
sure. Um, but yeah, I'm meaning to check that out because I feel like my inner goth would probably love it.
Yep.
I still haven't read what is it's I can never remember. Bottom Feeders
Oh, I've heard of that one. I don't think I've read it.
book. I Ben did a talk at this comic festival that my friend put on, and he drew in it for me, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
But I've been meaning to check this out, and I just haven't had the time to read it.
Yeah. Have you checked out the Autumnal yet?
Oh, is that Dewey's book
Uh,
or is that a different one?
Daniel Kraus uh, Chris Sheehan, Jason Wordy, and shoot, I just accidentally closed it, so I can't see who.
Oh, it's the Vault book. Dude, Vault has been putting out so many cool books,
Haven't
and
they?
I'm so off the radar on it. Because like Joshua Hickson did one. Michael Morrissey's done some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris Sheehan's art is gorgeous, and Jason
Yeah,
Wordie's like, if Jason Wordie's been around for a while, right? But is
yeah.
newish.
I think Jason's working on something with Ryan at the moment, actually. I'm not sure, but I recall seeing someone that I like that's really cool is working on the new book that Ryan's working on, and I thought it was Jason.
Ryan who?
Ryan Lindsay.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, he tweeted he's got something really cool coming out and named another creator the other day. I thought it was Jason Wordy. But
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's a really good
Long,
book, The Autumnal.
I don't know how long Jason has been working in comics, but like I started kind of noticing his stuff. Like, has it been 3 years?
That's about when I first started seeing his name around.
And like, oh my God, he lives here. Have I met him? Oh crap.
Hi, Jason.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so bad about this stuff. Unless I've unless we've like gone to dinner, like a colorist dinner or something
Yeah.
together, and like we've sat down and actually had like long conversations, I will not remember if
Oh,
I've met
tell me
you.
about it. Yeah, with my ADHD, like half the people I meet at conventions, I don't remember till the next year.
Oh yeah, he's got some stuff going on. Is he working on the Black Hammer anthology too?
Maybe.
That's awesome. But yeah, he's been doing like a lot of like really good work. Um,
Oh, actually, speaking of really good work, I just got a preview of shoot, Zach Thompson and is it Lonnie Nadler's new book? And I'm looking forward to reading that this weekend.
they're cool people too. I
Yeah,
really want to work with them.
Lonnie's coming on the show, and I think I've organized. Yeah, Zach is going to be coming on the show sometime as well.
Oh, wait a minute. Are they putting out?
Undone
They're
by
putting,
Blood, Volume 2.
it's a western.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, I
I
haven't.
was talking like last week about how there needs to be more westerns out.
Yeah,
And
I love a
comics.
supernatural western.
Dude, I just love coloring westerns because they have these amazing skies.
That's true.
Like coloring like that canyon, that desert canyon with like the dramatic skies, like it's so good. I just want to do that all the time, and I never get the
Oh,
opportunity.
Jason Wordy's on this as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at his feed right now, so that's why I was like, oh crap, this is a western.
Yeah, yep.
Uh,
And Hassan OE is on it as well.
Hassan Ali.
On lettering. Um,
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I've seen them letter a bunch of stuff too.
yeah. Hassan's also on Engine Word.
Is it do they do a lot of stuff at Aftershock? Is that why?
Maybe? Could be.
Oh,
That rings a bell.
no, that was a different lettering.
This looks
Um,
great. I can't wait to read it, actually.
I retweeted that. I tweeted my own tweet. I just retweeted you in the large. Probably coming to a close soon.
Yeah. I was about to say we've come to the end of the book. We've raved about a lot of creators, which is great. I love covering as many people as possible, even when we're talking about one book.
I will keep going. Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, I love this book, which is it's actually kind of funny. Like you can kind of tell how much I love a book because I get overexcited and then I do get distracted and derailed easier because it's a book that
Well,
I'm really keen on.
you can tell like how much I can talk about coloring,
Yeah.
but like really struggle with talking about writing and like things I like about writing. But I don't know. I guess it's just everything feels like all of Chris's characters feel really well thought out and grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And as insane as like all of these robberies and all this stuff happening in this book, it's like I still believe it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what like makes me keep coming back to his books. So
Yeah, the same. Like if you tell me that there's a Chris Sebela title coming out, it probably won't matter what the concept and the genre is. I will pick it up because I know he'll write an interesting story about it.
I have his Clown Motel postcard on my fridge still. I took it off my old fridge in Portland and moved it and put it on my new fridge in Calgary. So, like, yeah, and I have his zines. Like, I literally like I pick up everything that he does.
Yeah, and same for me for Ro and Ted, who did the art, the line art and the inking on Crowded. If you tell me that they're going to be on a book, instant sell. And same for Trina, actually. You know, Frankie and I talked about Mech Cadet U last week, which was colored by Trina, and it's gorgeous. It's such a good book.
Oh, yeah, I talk about Ted all the time. Or I talk to him on Twitter all the time, and I was asking like about process one time and like how they're both just like in each other's stuff all the time, that it's just like such a conglomeration of teamwork,
Yeah,
where I'm just damn, like I want that's a that's a good relationship. I want that.
yeah. No, they're so good, and they're so look. Just quietly, they're so adorable together. They came on the show, and we talked about Witch Hat Atelier, and it was such a nice chat, and they were both such sweet people,
Very sweet people.
and I was thrilled to sit down and talk to them. And I wouldn't have read that book if Ted hadn't suggested it, and I read it specifically for the show, and it's incredible. The artwork and the art design in that book.
Yeah. I've seen the preview stuff for it, but I haven't read it yet. I really need to pick it up.
Definitely do. If you check out the episode we did on that, I show the panel in particular, but there's a panel that made me laugh out loud, not because it was funny, but because it was so fucking clever. It was just pure black and white, and it was so simple, but the way it did everything that it did was just so clever and cleanly executed. I loved it. It was amazing. And I've got to pick up more issues of it soon so that I can see what else they're doing.
You know what I really want to pick up, and this is totally off the rails, is God, is apparently like Anne Rice books got turned into graphic novels,
Oh, interesting.
and they're like manga,
Okay.
kind of like it's manga.
Yeah.
It's like not manga, but manga.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It looks like manga, but not what's the word? Like laid out in that format.
Yeah.
So man, but I wonder about those because I don't know anything about those, and they're published by like Viz or something weird. Like well, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, I Google. Um yeah, it's like a graphic novel adaptation. And there's like a couple of them, and I just wonder if they're really bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna look that up.
Oh yeah, there's some. Well, I think there's some old ones from the '90s, but there's some newer ones that have come out too. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, like it's like manga style art, but it's kind of laid out a little bit more like a Western comic.
exactly, it's really hard to kind of like explain that until you see it, and then you're like, oh, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking
Like,
about by like layout.
yeah, it is still doing some manga things with the paneling and stuff, but
Yeah.
it is like it's trying to be a hybrid of the two.
Yeah, it's real wild. So I wonder, I don't know the artist at all. Ashley Marie Witter.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's like old, like there's an old Vampire Lestat one from the 90s
I was
that,
just looking at that one, I think.
oh yeah. I want to check this stuff out so bad because I feel like even if it wasn't like good, I would probably still like it.
Yeah, like the art is good. So,
Yeah, there's also like a Queen of the Damned comic book from the 90s too,
that's
which
cool.
has a really cool cover. Which almost looks like David Mack, but I'm sure it's not. There's no way. But yeah, it makes me want to buy this stuff because I like grew up on old like Crow comics and
Yeah.
like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and stuff. So I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
know
it
the
would
ones you
really
mean.
scratch that itch of wanting that kind of style of comic, especially the 90s ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, if you look at these covers, like, oh my God, like, I think these are trade paperbacks and they're $30 a piece.
Whoa.
Like, oh, it's a first edition, first printing.
Yeah.
That's why. I was like, who's buying these other than me? Who's searching for single issue old Anne Rice comics? Me. Just me.
Surely you'd be able to find them on eBay or something somewhere.
Such a freak. I love this stuff so much. It's
No, I
so,
get
like,
it. I love really off the wall weird stuff like that sometimes too. And like even if it's not good, it's still fun.
yes, yes. And like I recommended to you like reading old Shade stuff, but like all of that 90s Vertigo stuff, it was
Oh
all
yeah,
colored.
I've read some of the old Vertigo stuff and it's off
It was
yeah.
it was almost all colored by Daniel Vazzo,
Yeah.
and like that is like that stuff is just gold to me. And that stuff is actually good.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna have to
uh
check out some more of it because unfortunately I don't really read the one that was my favorite anymore for obvious reasons, which was Transmetropolitan. Uh, if you are aware of what happened with certain authors last year, you will.
is that an Ellis book? Okay.
Yeah. So,
For
yeah.
some reason I was thinking it was Grant Morrison. And I was like,
No.
wait,
No,
something.
but I love Derek's work, and Derek's work in that book was fantastic.
Yeah.
His
It was
current
rough.
work with Tom Taylor on Constantine is great too.
Oh yeah, man. Oh God, I want to work on Constantine again. I want to work on like a full series of Constantine because I came in as like sort of like a fill-in colorist
Yeah.
for like the last like couple issues. Um, and I really want to just like do like like my dirt boy, like my dirt bag, like awful like shitty boy, kind of femboy, but too grungy for that. Like I
Yeah.
think Black, like do you know have you know the old British comedy Black Books? Yeah, I like think of that, and I'm like, yeah, that's Constantine. Like he's a fuck up. Like
Yeah, he's like angry,
my
slightly more
brother,
competent. Brian, is it Brian Black? I've forgotten his name now. The main guy.
his like best friend.
No, the one that owns the store.
Oh, God, I don't know. It's Dylan
Bernard.
Moran,
Bernard Black.
Bernard Black. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, he's like Bernard Black, except competent.
Yes.
He's still a fuck
Well,
up, but he is a competent magician.
a little more competent. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely like I want that. Like I liked how Ming Doyle wrote him, and
Yeah.
I love that, and I want more of that in my life. And the TV show, when the TV show existed, filled that void for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love it.
You know what I just actually realized he reminds me of? Like, Constantine is the love child of Bernard Black and Vinnie Jones.
Wait, who's Vinnie Jones?
He is in, like, Crank, Lock, Stock, He was the Juggernaut in X3. He was Brick in Arrow. He's like that British soccer player turned actor, and he's mostly just the angry guy.
Oh, okay.
In Lock, Stock, if you've seen it, he's the one, or is it Snatch? He's the one with the big desert eagle that the two guys try to hold him up with a fake gun.
I don't know it. I'm so bad. People also like this is a very typical me thing where people are like, "Have you seen this very famous, very popular thing?" And I'm like, "No, I was too busy watching 200 episodes of Inuyasha."
No, I know what you mean. I'm just trying to think of.
I go down rabbit holes of like, what the. Oh man. With the exception, I guess, of like, there's certain things that I'll queue onto, like, I'll like hop on the train before it's running.
Yeah.
Like is it Queen's Gambit? Is that the name of the show?
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, okay, so everybody started freaking out about it. And like 2 weeks prior to that, I was like, yo, have you guys seen this chess show? You watching the chess? And I still refer to it as the chess show, which is why I'm it.
Yeah.
It's the Queen's Gambit. I'm like, the chess show. And my family won't watch it because they think it's just like a boring chess thing because I call it the chess show.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, I ruined it for my family.
No, I get that. Swordfish.
Swordfish.
Have you seen that?
No. I know of the
Eurotrip.
I've eaten it.
Yeah.
I know of Eurotrip. I've never seen it.
Oh, he's the angry soccer hooligan in that. He's the one who coined, was responsible for "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch."
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah. And I picture him and Bernard Black mixed together.
Equals Constantine.
Equals Constantine.
Yeah, you definitely have to have like, what the hell is my dog doing?
Because I think Constantine even goes for Manchester United. I think I've seen that in the comics somewhere.
Man, he would be Man U. It's Man City all the way, baby. I'd go get my like jersey out and like my shit, but like I'll leave that in the other room. I do have it. You best believe I did a Man City stadium tour after Thought Bubble one year.
Nice.
Part of my. I'm in England finally, and then I did a Morrissey day, which was really funny. Oh man, I happened onto that with another person who works in the comics industry that was going to Manchester specifically for that. I was like, yeah, I'll do it with you, but I have a very complicated relationship with Morrissey, as I think most Morrissey fans do.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. The last couple of years has been interesting.
Yeah, he's one of the few people where I'm like, yes, you do you, and then I'm like, no, stop. And like one of the few artists that I support, but like I have a very complicated relationship with, because there's all that whole, I'm very much a person that you typically can't separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
And Morrissey makes good points in his songs, but just makes bad points in real life.
Except for like his most recent song.
Which one is that?
His anti-mask, coronavirus, anti-lockdown song.
No, I didn't hear about this. No. Why? Why does he keep doing this to me? Oh God, I legitimately didn't hear about this. Oh, God damn it.
That was a few months ago.
He's breaking my heart. Oh my God. Oh no.
Right? Yeah.
Oh Maz, why would you do that? I've seen him in concert twice. I don't know if I should say that now. Is he anti-mask? Is that the thing?
He's anti-everything. It was like a lockdown protest anthem, apparently, was how it was billed.
Okay, because sometimes people attribute things to Morrissey. Like, he said something like this, and then everybody's like, so it must mean this.
Yeah.
because people are very reactionary towards them. But like, I'm guessing it was like anti-vax,
Yeah, it was
anti.
full balls to the wall, anti everything. Apparently, I haven't listened to it. I've just read an article about it.
Oh no! Why would he do this? That's so This is Morrissey fans in real time. Okay, find out news about something Morrissey has done, and it's like, stop it! Stop turning into that like old creature that you said you hated. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I like to think that like you get more progressive as you age because like your kids and your grandkids or your friends' kids and their grandkids like inform your way of life more. But some people just go like
Yeah.
blow
Yep. Some people go
QAnon
completely the other way.
into like QAnon cultists. So I mean, you knew it
Oh
was gonna
boy.
get you knew it was gonna get brought up.
No, it just made me think like we got a few of those here at the moment that are starting to get way too much press. It's so
it's,
frustrating.
it's everywhere because it's the internet. Thanks, 8chan.
Yeah.
Thanks, 8. It's so wild how all of these like hate groups blend into one another
Oh boy,
through the
yeah.
internet.
Yep.
It's just cesspool.
Yep.
I mean, they all hate me. So there's that.
Yeah, I've
Which
been
I get.
running preemptive blockchains
Do
to
I
keep
what?
I've been running preemptive blockchains to keep me and this show safe. I've blocked
I
like 200,000 people this month.
oh yeah, I've been using blockchains for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Has it been? But yeah, it's just a mess. And what's funny is it's like what's funny to me is that like whole thing blew up and then died so quick
Yeah.
and became like non-existent. But it's just funny to me that like um it's it's morphed into all of these other like more real world concrete satanic panic movements. So
Right?
it's weird.
It
But only a pandemic.
Yep. It still
But
confuses me so much that the satanic panic thing in relation to D&D still exists in America.
yeah, it's weird. I mean, like my parents were worried about it a little bit. They didn't understand it too much when I was a kid. They thought magic cards were a little weird when my sister started playing magic.
Yep.
Um, they thought Charmed was a little weird as a show. I talked to my mom about yogic philosophy sometimes
Yep.
and like how there's different themes in religion, like trinities is very common in religions, like different religions.
Yep.
And like just different things like that. And my parents are very Christian, so it's quite strange because I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a weird time for the world, and I've been doing a lot of my own like fine art stuff on top of like becoming a yoga teacher, and uh, dealing with fibromyalgia, and so it's just like and moving internationally.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of weird stuff on top of comics, but it's been I think ultimately it's been good. I just wish that more people would wear masks
Yes.
properly. Saw a guy with his nose hanging out today. And it's never like a good nose, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
no cool things, there's like nothing interesting happening. Uh,
Yeah. I saw a
but
really funny cartoon yesterday where someone had drawn, someone with their nose hanging out, and then drawn a dude with his underpants and his dingle
yeah,
dangling out the top, and it's like this looks like this.
yes, it's very true. It's very true. So hold on. You come up. Let me say hi again. Come on. You can do it. Come on, old man.
Oh, what a cutie.
He's very cute. He always gets worried every time he's on the chair, though.
Oh.
Because this chair moves,
Yep. Yeah, our big dog does that. We had this little, very low, but it was like a big cushy chair that rotated. And she's a Labradoodle, and she'd hop up there, and then it would spin, and she'd freak out and leap off.
No one understands his size. Person, they think he's like, oh, he's smaller than he looks, or oh, he's so much bigger than he looks. Like,
Yeah.
it's never like I thought he was this size. It's so funny because he weighs 30 pounds and nobody can like guess his size. So it's quite funny.
Yeah, that tracks. I know exactly what you mean with that. So people are
I'm
always
a very
surprised by how big our dog is too, because she looks medium sized in pictures, but she's actually quite stocky.
see, and I'm a small person, so like people don't like when he's sitting on me, he looks big, but then when he's on the ground, he looks small, so nobody can quite figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else we should chat about?
Well, the only thing I was about to mention actually is your GoFundMe. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you.
Yes, I have a GoFundMe too. I had a hell of a past 2 years, and actually before I got on here today, I went and got trigger point injection therapy again. So, which is where they stick needles in you full of lidocaine to break up, like, um, like tight muscle bundles that
Yep.
are like impossible to break up. Um, it would take a lot of massage to do it,
Yes.
and that's just like not really feasible and is extremely painful. Not like trigger point injection therapy isn't painful. It is. Um, but I did that today, and like Alberta Health Services covers all of it. I just pay for transit to get there, you know.
Yeah. I'm actually looking that up right now because my partner with their autism and scoliosis is having to get regular massages at the moment, and we're both seeing a physiotherapist for a while because their neck, a couple times a
Yeah,
year, completely locks up, and it's
yeah.
really hard to massage it out.
It would cause migraines, and then I would lose my eyesight would go foggy.
Yeah, yeah. My partner was bailed up with all of the windows curtained up with blockout curtains for like 2 weeks while we were trying to find a home visit physio.
Yeah, it's so weird. And like the name for getting names and like stuff like that is like a cognitive dysfunction that I have because of fibromyalgia. It like affects so many parts of my life. And it's just very weird. And it explains all of these pieces of things that would happen to me, and I wouldn't know why they would happen.
Yep.
And like with my body. And then when I finally got formally diagnosed, right, like a couple months before I moved here. And so I've just really, since September, October, when I got like admitted into the chronic pain clinic, have really started tackling it. And even recently, I changed my medication and I go see my primary care doctor at the chronic pain clinic in person tomorrow to talk about that medication change. So it's like, I know this is going to be a lifelong struggle, obviously, but I think people just don't understand about fibromyalgia because there's a lot that the medical community doesn't understand about
Yep.
it. And it's, um, and how much it affects your life. In a lot of ways, I've noticed a lot of similarities to my friends who have MS with just how like fast it is with how much
Mm.
it screws with you. Um, but it's it's so super weird. And like for me, what really triggered it was screwing up my sleep schedule, and then the pain moved into my hands, and um, I thought initially I had like endometriosis, but then when the pain became like full body and really moved into my hands and my feet, I was like, oh crap, like what is happening? You know? So they x-rayed my hands, like I had to do all this blood work. Like they took the second time I did tests, they took like 11 vials. It was crazy
Yeah,
because
that's
they
a
just were testing all of these things. And you have to rule out everything before you get a diagnosis of fibromyalgia.
yeah.
So like every autoimmune um, disorder, like every literally everything. And so yeah, it was unfortunately with like American healthcare, it just again like we don't talk about prices. And if I would have stayed in America, each time just to see the doctor would have been $300 for the specialist.
Man, that's a lot. You
And
can't.
not in treatment or anything they do to you, you know?
Yeah, you can't have
Like
that.
I was like, this isn't feasible. Like I literally had a phone call with my parents about if I don't make it up to Canada, I'm gonna have to move in with you. And lose like my independence. And like I think this is like God, this triggers like the activist in me to be like, this is everybody in America is like one step away, one accident, one disability away from like losing their livelihood. You
Yeah,
know, it's so devastating to me, like how kind of like bad things have gotten in America and people don't really talk about it or don't want to admit it. And there's no social safety nets for people. And so everybody just runs like you either tell yourself that you're going to pay these debts off or you run a GoFundMe. And I had a long conversation with my friends about this. I'm for years, like the last 2 years, and even like before that, like when I started racking up like debt, I was
yeah.
like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do? And then like cue the next thing into the next thing into the next thing, and it just became this like year long um like process of just getting diagnosed. Of like consistently seeing a doctor to get diagnosed. But um it's just so expensive. It's so expensive. Especially as a freelancer, you know. So everything becomes you have to pay a freelance tax in America.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like you'd think they would help you because your life is hard, but they like tax you more for
No,
not
that
working
tracks.
good. Yeah. So it's hard. I know that I see somebody in the chat can relate to that, which is like, dude, I feel you. I have so much like empathy for people who have fibro or actually, like truly any any disability. Like it's um which is why I'm like working on my accessible yoga teacher training right now.
Yeah.
Uh because like there's not a lot of stuff that actually like caters to that to like this community. There's so many people that just don't have answers, and fibromyalgia is unfortunately like the disease of the hysteric woman. You're not in pain.
I am.
So like now you're one of like the main doctors who studied it. She actually there's there's speculation that Frida Kahlo actually had fibromyalgia, that her car accident triggered it. Um, and like having seeing people that have chronic pain of any kind, it makes me really like heavily feel for them. And I would have conversations with people about it before mine got really bad, and they would tell me about like chronic pain or like opioid addiction and like all these things, and I I felt like sympathy for them, but like I couldn't really relate in that capacity. And like it just changes your whole world, like how much you can work. um and when you're in pain 24/7, um it does a number of trauma to you too, so
Yeah,
it's
it
like a
would.
whole therapy process too on top of all of like the physical process. It's sorry, this is really deep, like heavy stuff,
No,
but
no, it's fine. Like seriously, my partner and I are both, disability advocates for neurodiversity and stuff like that, and we've
yeah.
been through a lot of similar things trying to get them help for their spine issues. Their
Yeah.
scoliosis causes them pain every day. But the doctors
Yeah.
keep trying to say that it's only mild because it's not a severe curve.
Well, and that was a big thing that I had to learn was you tell yourself that it's not bad. And part of that is like a survival tactic
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, okay, like actually the brain does work this way where if you say like, oh, like you feel good, like you feel better, you start to feel better, right? If you like do breathing and you have like mantras and stuff that you tell yourself, it actually works to an extent, right? Um but uh that action of me doing that would mean I was telling my doctors it wasn't as bad as it was. And already when doctors like, well, how would you rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And if you look at that scale, 10 is like people literally like stabbing you,
Yeah.
and they say 9 is childbirth. And I'm like, well, how do I, you know, like 10 is like you're dying. You're actively like, you're on fire.
Yeah.
That's 10. Like somebody set you on fire. That's 10, right? So you look at that scale and like I come from like my family being a medical background and you're just like, I guess I'm a 3 or 4.
Right?
And like that's unacceptable, quite
Yeah.
frankly, to me. Like any level, if you're saying like every day you're in pain, I'd be like, okay, let's problem solve.
Exactly. And that's the thing that we keep getting caught out with. Robin will say they're about a 4 or a 5,
Yeah,
and they're
and
like,
what's
oh,
your
that's not so bad.
doctor's 4 or 5 is?
Yeah.
Because like the spoony community, right? Like
Mm.
people who have chronic pain, your 4 or 5 is other people's 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in pain every day, you downplay it and you go like, well, today is better than yesterday, or today is worse than yesterday, but your base level is everybody else's like 2.
Exactly.
So
And if you shouldn't be in any amount of pain 24/7.
right, right. So it's like learning this thing and like having a language to communicate with doctors. Because again, medical family, military family, it's very much like a suck it up, move on culture. And like I was like, well, I haven't broken any bones, so do I really need to go see the doctor? Like it's
Yeah.
like think of extreme circumstances of um like I I'm gonna show you this kind of forewarning, but not because it's mostly healed. Just you can see my thumb I sliced open like a couple of days ago, and like I just put like 6 band-aids on it and moved on for like 3 days.
Yep.
Like I have all these scars all over my body, my hands, like because I just don't go see doctors when I get hurt. And like that's very American, but that's also like very much of, well, I can fix it because I know
Yeah.
I know ER tactics and like army tactics of fixing wounds because my dad works in the ER. Like my dad is doing wound care actively now. And it's like you learn this stuff because, my parents didn't make a lot of money growing up initially. Like army, you don't make a lot of money. And so like my dad would come home and like fix me up. And when you get fixed up enough times, you learn how to do it. You ask questions, so it's so silly. But yeah, it made me really like downplay a lot of my experiences. And then there's the embarrassment and like the guilt of it where you don't want to talk about it because you don't want to bring people down.
Yep.
The debt is embarrassing. Um, I felt very married to my career and put it like all my energy into my career, and then to still have debt on top of working all the time just makes you feel very much like I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Um, not that the system is broken. um, because it's frustrating to know I'm not alone. It's also frustrating to click on GoFundMe and see all of the people who need help. Um, so if I was a millionaire, or I should say, if I was a billionaire, if I
Right.
was a criminal, if I was a criminal,
Yeah.
If I robbed all of the banks in HeartThrob,
Right? If I had 1 year of Bezos' earnings, it would be gone tomorrow because I would fill all those GoFundMes.
one day is like an annual earning, so it's more than some people's annual earnings. So.
Right?
I know that dude actively, like, he could solve world hunger. He has so much money, he could solve world hunger, and like every day he wakes up and doesn't solve world hunger, and that should say a lot about Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all I have to say. I'm so lefty.
No,
I'm like, to Canada, I've basically turned into like your resident Marxist Leninist. So I'm like one step away from being tanky. Like, I've just totally.
no,
Nobody's gonna buy.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Robin and I are much the same.
Yeah, it's gotten to that point because I just get frustrated. I get so frustrated seeing so many people hurting and so many people in need, and like the idea that charity is like what is supposed to take care of people is
right.
That's not good. Like, there should be something in place to actively support people in the community.
Yeah, there should be.
And Medicare for all, and college, and no college debt.
Yeah, they tried to privatize Medicare here a couple of years ago.
Let's do it, Bernie Bros. Let's go. Where are my Warren Snakes at? Let's get it together. We can lefties unite. I'll even take the Pete Buttigieg rats. We'll go. Let's go. All the animals, we're in. I'm so bad, dude. Oh man, I follow politics way too much.
Nah. No, you're good. Like, I align with so many of those things already, so I'm happy to talk to other creators and know that we match up.
I'm like center left of like most places.
Yeah.
But America, I'm a radical leftist.
Oh yeah. Even yep. According to so many people here in Australia, Robin and I would be radical lefties too.
Really? Wow.
Because we're like, yeah, let the Greens run the country.
Australia has a pretty heavy conservative bloc there, for sure.
It does. Considering our Prime Minister is a Hillsong guy.
What is that? Is that like a church? What is Hillsong?
It's the Prosperity Gospel Church.
Is that like a gay conversion church kind of?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the whole, if you're a good Christian, then you will be rich. If you're not rich, you're a bad Christian. Etc.
That's not how capitalism works. Oh my
if you're
God.
a good person, God will reward you.
I have 2 words. Is it 2 words technically, or is it 1 word? Oh no! Now I sound like an idiot. I was gonna say Wall Street.
Yeah.
Wall Street.
Yes.
Like, none of those dudes are good dudes.
No.
And like the GameStop stuff just like totally proved it.
Yep.
Hedge fund. Yikes.
Yeah, that whole thing is crazy. But also a quick shout out to Absolute Numpty in the chat, which is actually one of my workmates at Arden Roleplay.
Oh, cool.
And she is an extremely talented artist herself. She does all the cards for Ardent Roleplay and does like all of the stream graphics and most of the website graphic design and everything. She just did an incredible set of overlays for me for my upcoming D&D show, and has her own Redbubble store as well. And I'm going to link her Twitter in the chat so people can go find her work and buy her designs, which I do not have the money to buy right now. Otherwise, I would be wearing one already.
Oh my God, big mood. I follow so many people that make like tarot decks and like cool t-shirts and stuff.
Right, I can't even afford to buy my own stuff off Redbubble.
This parrot t-shirt? Oh my God, that's cute. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love finding new artists.
Yeah, Lauren's great. I love all the work that she's done for the cards here, but also she's a fine artist as well as an illustrator. And so she does some incredible work. Like, she created so many animated elements for the overlays that she made for me, and all I was expecting was just a cool dungeon wall static transparent graphic. But the fire moves, there's lightning flashing, there's a little rat in the corner of it, and the rat moves and its eyes glow and fade, and
this cockatiel dress is so cute too. Oh my
Right?
god, all the birds. Oh, I see the bin chicken.
Yes.
I see it. That's so Australian, and I love it so much. Like, I love colloquialisms,
Yep.
and, like, just, like, cultural sayings and things, and, like, uh, bin chicken is my new favorite thing.
Yeah, I love the bin chicken.
Like, ibis and herons is kind of like these majestic birds, they're, like, these bigger birds, you know, and,
Yep.
it's like you hit ostrich and you're like, "Too big, too big." But, like, anything that looks like a stork or a crane, you know, it's
Yep.
like, "Oh, it's stick." And so to think about, like, being ibis is like these, like, trash pigeons, you know? Like,
Yep. No, that's exactly right.
"Oh, doves. Doves are so majestic." And it's like everybody in New York's like, "Fuck these birds."
Yeah, doves are just pretty pigeons.
Exactly. They're pigeons.
Yeah.
It's so great. My sister would probably hate this conversation. She's a bird person. Oh man, your art is so good. I love the sloth stuff too. You really can draw animals really well.
Yeah, she actually created this amazing piece when I shared Clip Studio was on sale. So she's like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna grab that." And her practice piece to just get the hang of Clip Studio was this incredible picture of two fairy platypus.
I love it.
And so we decided to get together and I created stats for them and we released it on the work channel as an actual familiar you could have for D&D.
What is this? What is this whale? Whale, whale, whale essential t-shirt? Oh, whale, whale, whale. What do we have here? This is so charming. Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm I I feel like I'm really glad to have found this artist. Thank you.
Yeah, I really dig pretty much everything. Well, actually, no, I don't think I've ever seen anything of Lauren's that I didn't immediately dig.
Gotta reopen that Etsy store though. I
Yeah.
do know Australian mail has been screwed up. It took
Oh man,
like
and
a month to receive something and a month to send something that was the fast shipping.
yeah,
So
our shipping to the States and Canada has gone pretty much back to normal, but our shipping from the States and Canada is not good.
well, it was yeah, it was being sent to me and it sat in like got scanned in at the like FedEx or something
Yep.
place and or maybe it was DHL. And then it sat there for 3 weeks. And I was
Mm.
like, did the package get lost? What's happening?
Yeah, no, customs is the hold up at the moment.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it moved, no scan, nothing. And then all of a sudden it was like bam, 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 and like came through within a week.
I got a book from Mike Hawthorne that sat at New York airport for 5 months
American, oh my god.
because of the
American is so bad. It's always bad.
yeah.
So like
But last
COVID,
year it was especially bad.
yeah, COVID bad is next level.
Yeah, it took 5 months for it to leave the country once it got to the airport.
And for Canada, they had my stuff like in I guess it must have been sitting at like different like in different postal locations. But from the 4th to the 6th, I received 3 rubber band packages each day of like multiple letters and like
Wow.
all of the Christmas cards in like one batch. It was so weird. And I was like, okay, I guess you guys were just waiting for like me to have collected enough of mail to deliver it or something. Like, what is happening? So it was very super strange.
Yeah, that is strange. But I tell you what though, DHL is delivering really fast from the States at the moment though. Like USPS and everything like that is taking 3 to 4 months even now that things have stabilized a tiny bit. I got a package in 3 weeks via DHL from Beadle and Grimm's.
I'm still waiting for a package my friend sent like over a month ago from Australia. Who knows when it'll get here?
Yeah, I reckon give that 2 weeks and you'll have it.
I've never tried Promite, and he says it's better than Marmite. So
Okay, both of them are inferior to Vegemite.
I
That's the,
I mean, I like Marmite and Vegemite, so
yeah. The thing is that most people overseas treat Vegemite like a normal spread.
yeah, I know they're dumb.
Yeah, I see so many people spreading it like peanut butter. I'm like, no, don't do that.
I was introduced to it weirdly when I lived in Georgia, and one of the teachers was talking about it, and she brought some in, and we all tried it. And so I tried it the right way the first time, and then Marmite somewhere later on in life from some similar school experience.
Yeah,
But like toast butter, the spread, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I watched my favorite Twitch streamer just take a tube and eat it.
Oh,
Just and he was like, "This is so good. I could just," and he just kept taking the tube, and we were all like, no. Nobody could believe that he was into it. He was like, "No, this is really good, guys." And it's like, do you not taste salt? Like,
yeah. What?
is it like the opposite of that super taster palette where you just like can't taste salt at all? Like,
Right?
oh yikes.
No, I could not. I'm Australian, and I could not imagine eating it like that.
Hell no, dude. But yeah, one day I'll get over there. I'm thinking it's gonna be 2022
Yeah,
towards the end of the year or 2023.
I would say so.
That's kind of my view, just like with money and
Yeah,
with
yeah.
kind of things that I have in my schedule already set up. Um,
Well,
so
once
and
it is
COVID.
safe again for international travel and conventions and all of that, I will still be dropping your name in the guest hat for all our conventions.
Thank you. Um, I want to get over there so bad, and I really want to explore. Oh my God, I know so much about stuff that like I can't believe these words are gonna come out of my mouth, but I really want to explore like Western Australia and the bush and like
Yeah,
actually like see Australia and like the different cities and like regions um and cultures and like really get a good taste of it because I don't know if I'm ever going to get a chance to come back because it's just so remote, you know?
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Funnily enough, do you watch any of the Ghibli movies?
Yeah,
Have you
Djibouti.
seen Castle in the Sky?
Yes, I
That
love
was
that.
based off a place here in Queensland.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. The actual like island of Laputa was based off Paranella Park, up towards Cairns. I haven't been there since I was 14, but I really want to go back. And I found out when we were watching it the other night in the trivia that that's what it was based off.
Oh my God. That's one of my favorite movies. That Kiki came out the year I was born. Um, and Naushka are like my three favorite. But
Yeah.
also love I love Ano. I love Evangelion. And I
That
love
was my first anime.
oh my God, that was definitely not my verse. Um but he animated the monster in Naushka.
Oh, cool.
Because he was a freak who would send in monster reels into Studio Ghibli and like they would look at his stuff and be like, why does this guy send us this stuff? Does he not know the movies we make? Like, what is wrong with this dude? And, and they're making this movie and they're like, we need something terrifying. We're gonna hire that crazy dude. so I and like they're friends, and then he came back and voiced the main character in Wind Rises.
Yeah.
And it's like they've had like a good Miyazaki and Ano have had like a good relationship, which is pretty cool considering like Ano went off and did like all the Evangelion stuff and Studio Kata and like all of that
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I started with Evangelion and Akira.
My dude, you just went head first.
Yeah, late night SBS. I saw there was something called the Wings of something, and it was a mech movie. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm going to watch that. Missed it. And then Akira was on the next weekend. I'm like, that looks cool. Little 12-year-old me. Like, that looks pretty cool. Watched it. I was like, holy shit, that was insane. And then the next week, Evangelion started.
I was thinking of the Vision of Escaflowne. I was like, is it Escaflowne?
I haven't seen that yet. I can't remember what it was. There was the Wings of something, and I think the name started with a H, but I can't remember. I have never been able to find it since.
Hmm.
And I really want to see it, but I don't know what it was.
Oh, funny. This guy, I go into this Discord occasionally, this Twitch streamers Discord, and talk to people occasionally, and this one guy goes, yeah, I had this like crush on like this anime girl. She had like long dark hair. I was like, 3 weeks ago, isn't it? And he's like, what? I haven't been able to find her. And I was like, is it this? And I link him to like Ava. It's her. No, the girl with the blue hair. I had a crush on her too.
I was gonna say, yep. If someone of our sort of generation had a crush on an anime girl when they were a kid, it's probably Evangelion.
I pegged it like immediately. I was like, dude, this is. I know. So, it was so funny because I was like, if it's not like Dragon Ball, like somebody from like Dragon Ball, then it's
Yep.
Evangelion, or maybe like Gundam Wing or something like that, because we had Toonami.
Yep. I just started watching Gundam last year.
Gundam Wing?
I started with the 86. What was it? The Universal Century ones.
Okay, because Gundam is like a genre.
Yeah,
right?
Gundam 76 or whatever it was, like the original series. I started chronologically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of want to do that too. Not all Gundam, but I just go back and watch like series from the 70s.
Yeah, they were actually really good.
Yeah, I still haven't finished watching Space Battleship Yamato. I'm 6 episodes from the end, and I'm like, will they save the Earth? I don't know.
But yeah, the Universal Century series still holds up.
But this is my rabbit hole, dude. Like I was saying, like I watched like 200 episodes of Inuyasha, right?
Yeah.
I still have the movie to watch. And I started watching Yashahime, which is what got me on the Inuyasha thing. I was like, oh, there's a new thing. And I watched all like 120 episodes of Galaxy Express 39. Like I just have these niches where I start watching something and I feel like compelled to finish it.
Yep.
And they're typically these really long series. And I used to do circus, like I do circus off and on. The studios are closed right now. And I told the teacher about me doing this Inuyasha thing. I was like, yeah, I was making a joke. I was going to chase it with Ranma. She's like, don't do it. It doesn't have an ending. She's like, I'm telling you because I was really into it as a kid. And she's like, it doesn't have an ending. She didn't end it. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, I really feel compelled to watch it though. So I know that I'm going to end up watching all of it and be very disappointed.
No.
Like, Rumiko just doesn't know how to end things. So.
We're going to have to talk more at some point then, because like, a lot of these I either have watched or am going to watch. And I don't get to nerd out about that very specific stuff very often.
Weird about it. I like Tezuka. I've been to Takarazuka, and like just really 1970s, like a lot of old anime, that stuff that like didn't really make it really outside of Japan. I really like that stuff. I've been to the manga museum in Kyoto too, which they're like, don't take pictures, and I was like taking sneaky photos of like covers of things, like trying to find and writing things down and translating things, and manga that I've never seen in my entire life that are like from the 70s that like if you go in a bookstore you're just not gonna see them, or they're they've been out of print forever, and they're in the manga museum of all these like shoujo stuff that was happening in like the 70s, and like ribbon comics, and I was just like, these are amazing, and the art is amazing. I've never heard of any of these artists, and because it was like women creating comics for women.
That's
and
cool.
Yeah, and it's like Japanese romance comics, and I was like, this stuff is so cool. Like, I wish this would have like become a thing, you know, like printed outside of Japan and translated outside of Japan. And who knows, like maybe one day somebody will want to do that and think that there's a market for it. I mean, you know, again, I'm like the one person. I found some of these comics I found online, like obscurely from sellers in Japan. But it's just like I don't know if I'm gonna spend like $50 to buy a bunch of 1970s
Yeah.
comics. Like that I can't understand very well because my Japanese is terrible now. Um, but yeah, they're beautiful though. Oh God, I have I have so many books that they don't like two massive bookshelves. They're on the floor and they're in like three other rooms. And like I got rid of stuff when I moved here. It's bad. It's bad, bad. So it's so hard for me to like want to move with all of this physical stuff, you know.
Yep. I know what you mean.
All right, well, I think I have to be
I
going.
was going to say, I think I do too. I think I've got a meeting coming up, or maybe I've got confused about the time, but it's sometime soon. If
I told you I will talk forever.
no, it's been a great time. Where can everyone find you?
Um, I'm Wasted Wings on Twitter and Instagram. I don't use Facebook. Um, and I have a link tree on both of those, so that will like link to kind of everything going on in my life, including like my dog's Instagram, um, my Amazon wish list. I don't know. I was like, you know what?
Yep.
Somebody wants to buy me my books.
Once
Like,
I've got
let's
a
go.
locked bag, I'm definitely going to be getting one of those.
and and like and I have a Patreon too, which is patreon.com/kellyf. If you want like process videos, when I did coloring classes, I put them up there too, for people, which I will be selling one of the two eventually for like $5 on my website. But I just haven't put it up.
Yeah.
And it's got like all of that kind of stuff, a lot of like process stuff that I don't post anywhere else, or if I've put some stuff on like Instagram stories and then Twitter, whatever, it's all in one place, so it makes it easy for people to see it all. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I will also link all of those in the YouTube description and the VOD description once I re-upload this to Twitch. But
That's why I made a tree.
yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've been really looking forward to this chat since we first discussed it ages ago.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for working with my schedule. It's a little crazy.
Oh, it's exactly, and that's why I like to do this show so casual, because then I can work with everybody's schedule and make it work for them. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone who has tuned in. Thank you to your lovely dog for making an appearance.
Yeah, he's sleeping right beside me.
I will
Thank
let you.
you, Nick, for coming in here.
You're welcome. Anytime. If there's ever another book you want to chat about, hit me up and we'll see if I can find a spot in the schedule.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll talk forever.
No, that's 100% okay. I think this is the longest episode yet, but I barely felt the time go by.
No one will beat me.
I think the only one that's come close was the first episode with Frankie, when we were talking about that She comic for forever.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to go and get onto my day job work for now, but I'll see you all back here on Monday for an art stream, and in like 3 weeks, and I'm really nervous about it, but like 3 weeks for episode 1 of my new D&D show, The Shifting Spire. So, bye for now. Take care. Everybody have a good weekend, and thank you for watching.
Bye.